Hello, villains. If you continue to listen to this episode of Jake the Voice on the Cyberden, Black Hat will know, and there's no turning back.
Salutations, mediocre villains. Pardon me. Hello and welcome. This is Jake the Voice right here on the Cyberden, your weekly dose of tech and games. And today I'm going to be chatting with none other than Mr. A. Sayer, better known as the voice of Dr. Flug from the Villainous series. Thanks for coming, mate.
But first, an announcement. If you enjoy this interview and are an active fan of Villainous, stay tuned, listen closely. There will be a challenge, or for those easily intimidated by such things, think of it as a helpful suggestion. And now, on with the show. Greetings, you perfectly awful host. We should have a black hat off. Now, you, Jake.
A black hat off?
Take your black hat off.
Oh, I'd like to see you try to take my black hat off.
Yo, sorry, man. Just having a little fun. I'm ready to behave.
Oh, you better be. Sorry, I really need to get some cough drops. Okay, so let's start things off with the bread and butter question. What inspired you to become a voice actor?
Well, so much to tell, man. So little time. Well, my early life makes that answer seem obvious, but there's a twist. I grew up in the eastern Midwest, U.S., and from like preschool age onward, I was enthralled by cartoons, especially the reruns of Jay Ward, Bullwinkle, and Rocky. Free! Hey, Rocky! Watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat! Nell, your name sounds like the ringing of a bell. I'll get you, Dudley Do-Right. I'll tell you what I'll do what any red-blooded villain would do. Hide. Yeah, well, then growing up, with all that Saturday morning classics all we kids watch, not to mention all the classic Disney movies, in elementary school, my best mate, and I, we got cassette tape recorders, and I did this little shows, we created silly little character voices. But then, all through school, my academic school studies was all science and physics, chemistry, heavy on biology, while all the extracurricular was choir and pop music performance, singing and stuff, and that was through college. So, which I actually left after 2 years. I cut my teeth then doing some singing telegrams, theme park stage shows in the Midwest, a dinner theater in Florida, and then I landed in the Southeast to find a rock band, seek label deals, and maybe even finish up that college degree that I left after 2 years. So look out, because here comes the twist. So during the band time, I was going to buy guitar strings one Saturday morning, of course, after watching cartoons, and like a light bulb went off. It dawned on me, these people I've revered, I was always reading the credits, even as a kid, they actually have or had a career doing this, a paying job. So ding, ding. So from that point on, I found 2 regional voiceover legends, and over the next 3 years solid, I studied with them, plus many acting classes with the top regional theater, and I finished my degree in entertainment industry business management. I quit the band, and by the 4th year, started out on what is still my decades-long search for voiceover work. So that is that.
From humble beginnings, indeed. Okay, so riddle me this. Do you perhaps have any favorite voice actors out there?
Oh yeah. Let's break that down into, let's just say 3 eras, all right? From the earliest days, you got the vaudeville circuit in the U.S., the comedy radio, where all our best got started. You got Ed Wynn, you got Mel Blanc and June Foray, which many might know as kind of being Warner Brothers, and that was before they were even doing the cartoons. You got Hans Conried, Edward Everett Horton, Jerry Colonna. You got Bill Thompson, I'm happy. Yeah, he was droopy. And you got Bill Scott. Then let's move to the classic cartoon era as well. You got Dawes Butler, you got Don Messick, and Dawes Butler and Don Messick, people might not know, they was to Hanna-Barbera what Mel Blanc and June Foray was to Warner Brothers. And so then you got Paul Frees, you got Paul Winchell, Sterling Holloway, Wally Cox. Never fear, Underdog is here. You got Casey Kasem. Zoink, Scoob! What are we gonna do? And Frank Welker. Okay, Shaggy. I don't know. All right, so then we got what I'm gonna say is more the modern era, right? People still kicking. You got Jim Cummings, Billy West, Charlie Adler. Hello, big brother. I am Kyle. Yeah, that's my sister. And I'm Chicken. Yes, and I'm the red guy. What did you expect? And you got Maurice LaMarche, Jess Harnell. Okay, Brian, whatever you say, Brian. North. And then you got E.G. Daily on the women's side, along with a whole list of women. I don't even have the list handy, but that's just the start. There's all kinds of others in between there.
A most interesting selection indeed, and let me just say, it's like having a live demo reel and an interview at the same time right now, folks. It's a 2-for-1 deal you're getting right here on the Cyber Den. Anyway, so let's now talk about Villainous, created by the ever-so-talented Alan Ituriel. And Alan, mate, if you're tuning in, just remember, there's always a spot here on the Cyber Den if you want an interview, or if you perhaps need another voice actor, give me a call.
Come on, Alan, do it. Do it, Alan. You can do
it. Okay, so how did you get the role of Dr. Flug from Villainous?
Bing! There's no crumbs in the butter. I initially built my voiceover career. Okay, so here's the answer. I built my voiceover career in a strong but all-by-its secondary market, the Southeast. I kept my eyes on character work, knowing that Turner's Broadcasting could build Cartoon Network into a primary cartoon production hub in the Southeast. But while that continued not to happen, the market for the classic sports announcer voice I didn't have was slowly shifting into the young guy casual voice I did have. I'm sure you can tell. I got a sweet young guy voice. So I romanced my LA voice over contacts, and I temporarily moved to pursue that major cartoon market while also honing the young guy VO sound. See? So, disliking, once I was there, the climbing curve LA required, I also learned things were picking up with Turner in the Southeast. Before leaving LA, I did enjoy an audition for the changing of the guard for the world's most famous mouse. Oh, gosh, come on, everybody. I came back to the Southeast after that, acquired a top cartoon VO agent, and started building. Now, my work started with voice matching classic cartoon voices. Get this, for a bumps and interstitials reface for, you'll love this, Jake, Cartoon Network Boomerang, Great Britain. Eventually, though, work became young guy announcer and character bumps and interstitials for Cartoon Network Latin America. Imagine that. Along the way, there were also the national auditions for The Simpsons and Futurama reboot scares, if anybody remembers those. But come on, who's going to replace those guys? No one was going to replace those original voices. But, oh, wait a minute. We'll talk more about that later. And being cast on a CBS Christmas Elf special. Yes, I did that. And it's syndicated now. It's bumping around all over the place out there at the holidays. Who knows where you'll see it. Anyway, by 2015, the main Turner studio I worked through was one run by a top quality dude and his then wife I'd never yet met. I wonder who that was. February of 2016, they recommended me to audition. I'm anointed Flug, imagine that, and by March, the band of merry villainous villains begins as the sound designer, Melanie, who you've already met with Jake, Alan, the creator of this whole villainous thing, and myself, we're Skype meeting, we're calling for months and months. We conceptualized, we connected, we loved and coddled our characters into existence. It was magic for us, and we really gelled. We didn't even mind the budgeting and bootstrapping required for the future return. We're 100% all go on this thing. Let's go. So we finally began the Villainous shorts, completing the first round by July 2016. Then the other proof of concept shorts in the 2 years between 2017 to 2018. End of 2018, we had the domestic pilot in the can. Oh, what was that thing? I don't know, something about Dawn and villains. I don't remember the name. That was completed by very early 2019.
What is appealing to you about voicing Dr. Flug?
Bing! Clean cop, move down! Yeah. When we're not all disgusted by his lack of assertive nerve, poor guy, I think it's his subtle diabolical wit and scientific brilliance that cues me in, keeps me going. Lines. It has to be not so much a line, but every time he takes a licking, squeals his way out of it, and he just keeps on ticking. Yeah, I like that.
Any particular favorite lines of dialogue, perhaps?
Let's see, maybe oh no, stop, maybe like that.
Hey, that's my favorite line as well. I mean, no, I'm not weird. Moving swiftly on. So have you checked out the shorts and the pilot episode as well? Have you given those all a watch? And what are your thoughts on the fan feedback as well?
Yeah. Once our first round of 2016 shorts were out there, like we said earlier, by 2017, we were working on the next rounds in the studios. 3 Musketeers, 4 Musketeers, we were all there. It was great, but we were all blown away with the warm reception and the love for the characters expressed by large amounts of those first earliest Villainous fans. We'd sit around and look at all the art and the things people were throwing out there as we were recording in the studio. It was great. Since they seemed to come from all parts of the U.S., Great Britain, Europe, and even beyond, who knows where, it really showed Alan and convinced us there was potential for broad appeal for this to happen on a big scale. I mean, these characters, they have a timeless presence. That's what the fans sense. It's that quality, someone not a fan can see them, and even if they don't sense a personality, it still makes them smile. So the Villainous 4, they're funny and memorable. And for the fans that have extended them into these tribute creations and playlists and renders, that could be an understatement. Seeing what the fans develop with the little that Cartoon Network domestic and worldwide had even offered him at that point, it's always been inspiring. So yeah, we love it. Love the fans and made a big difference.
Do you think there's ever going to be a bit of a future for Dr. Flug and perhaps working on an online presence?
Well, you just never know if and when Flug might find a single moment where Black Hat loosens his limiting grip. It's rough. Let it rip, Marty.
So what's actually going on with the English dub of Villainous? Is there anything that you might be able to disclose, perhaps?
Yes. Though the Villainous pilot was completed, as we established in early 2019, we heard not even crickets So it was through our own online sleuthing, we learned after the fact it had been dubbed into Spanish for an official Cartoon Network Latin America premiere with really no info on anything U.S. domestic. It's a bit of a change from what the creator had initially intended, but he had to go with the flow from what we understand and let his, when he partnered with Cartoon Network, to see where that would go. Then in October of 2019, that fall, with Alan and the Villainous production team still silent, we hear from the Cartoon Network domestic U.S. producers of Victor and Valentino. Imagine that. Very popular in Latin America. That our characters, as they told us, are to be guests on an upcoming episode. So with less than 2 weeks notice, we recorded that Victor and Valentino episode with our characters as guests, and at some point it aired, but then more crickets for 2.5 years. So during which we did hear along the way, Villainous was doing well in Latin America, but only there, unfortunately. So we cut to this year, January of 2022, 2.5 years after the Victor and Valentino performance. An unknown group contacted me and Melanie at the same time, but separately via email. It was a huge dubbing house in Miami, Florida, with a request from out of nowhere asking our hourly rates. For what? To dub our original characters from the current Spanish into English. Because you see, there have been many episodes since produced in Latin America from those original ones that you can find in English. So we shook off the 2.5 years of dust, no problem. We were very excited and said, sure, let's go. We're ready. But we said, first, let's start with who are you and who is your client? You see, because we had never had any association with this group in this house. So imagine, if you will, put on your little actor hats, and imagine, if you will, a Florida company. They come to your lab, you're a scientist, and said, we'd like you to build a rocket. What is your rate? And that's all. So you might certainly need to know, who is the rocket for? How high will it go? How long will it fly? Where will it land? I'm sure you understand. So on into February of this year, no matter how we expressed, yes, we will deliver your request, the Dub House never proceeded with our request that the Villainous production team contact us. And since that was roughly 270 degrees, 270 degrees off from any of our past dealings with Alan from the beginning, or ever with the Cartoon Network management, we just mused, for all their effort, whoever it was saying they wanted to work with us, original cast, and even though we said, let's specify and go, they never moved forward. So that's where it stands now.
That's a pretty peculiar, I gotta say, that's pretty peculiar stuff right there. But anyway, let's take things into a bit of a more positive direction. So, what are your thoughts on all of the fan creations out there? You know, the fan art, the fan playlists inspired by the show, or, of course, Dr. Flug himself. What are your thoughts about these things?
Oh my goodness, flattery will get you everywhere. I'm flabbergasted. I can just say that I certainly have seen many likenesses of this Flug character, and I think that people have done very impressive work. And I guess I could understand how a scientist might actually be their favorite, but you know, not enough can be said for 505. He's as cute as Flug is smart. And
Well, there's so much out there. I think the thing that we can definitely establish here is that we're continuously, constantly blown away um, by the reaction, and I think that speaks to people wanting, fans really wanting to see this come full circle in to full fruition. I think the whole world needs to see it so there can be that much more fan work.
I definitely agree. I really hope more people out there make more Villainous-related content. As, I actually checked out a very peculiar animation of Dr. Flug singing Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. Whoever made that, you deserve a medal, just saying. Anyway, so next question. Do you perhaps have any dream voice acting roles, or any shows, games, movies, anything you'd like to voice?
For me, anything with heart, depth, breadth, solid universal comedy roots, anything that has that is a dream. Something that has that hard to pinpoint depth, something that's brimming with universal timeless values and character. I think some of those qualities are what makes Villainous so much of what it is. We all sensed that from the beginning, so more of that. And of course, I always enjoy more than one role in any given place. I think any greedy actor can relate to that. And not greed for money, just always having more they want to give. And of course, all we get back for doing that.
So when you're not voice acting, how else do you like to unwind?
Well, I am drawn to the occasional scientific experiment, but I'm also very much drawn to the outdoors and experimenting with the botanical shrubs and trees and playing in that regard. I am drawn, however, no surprise, I seek out old-time radio comedy and curated, narrated big band era music shows that share history and facts between the tunes. And this is a sincere fact, not pandering. In recent years, I've dived into what we see on this side of the pond, which would be some years old escape to the countries, so that I can dream about my perfect landing spot if I ever get to your side of the pond again. And I've also been engaged with traditional Celtic musics since my early teens, along with all the other music. And so Fiona Ritchie is a very renowned curator of the Celtic traditional musics, and her Thistle Radio Online tops my list. And at one point in my music career, I became acquainted with both Scottish Celtic masters Phil Cunningham, famous with his brother Johnny, rest in peace Johnny, unfortunately. So a shout out to Phil after many years of no contact.
Mr. Sayer, let me just say it has been a blast getting you on board, so thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, certainly. It's been more than a pleasure, and it's greatly appreciated your interest in this this area of the arts, as it will be identified.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the Villainous fan base out there?
And now it's time for that challenge, or for the timid, that helpful suggestion.
Yeah. All right. So, I just wanted to say, imagine if Cartoon Network Domestic Worldwide had started or would now, as the case may be, reset V to the original intent, to exponentially expand beyond Latin America, as we might say, to get the original cast working together again, create an original content to step up and present Villainous as the domestic and even worldwide release it was intended to be. I know and I think Melanie and Villainous as a whole could use the fans' help for that to happen. I mean, wouldn't we all like to see what would come of that? So what I would say is make your wishes known. Start a petition, a campaign, then send that and any other positive solo messages to, you guessed it, Alan Ituriel at AI Animation Studios. That's in Mexico. And even more so, find the proper domestic, that's important, domestic U.S. Cartoon Network production offices in charge of original programming for domestic U.S., Europe, and Great Britain, and give them undeniable belief that Villainous and your original characters working together again are wanted in English worldwide.
You heard the man, folks. Get on it, get those messages sent out, and let's make this become a reality. And I'd personally like to thank all of my wonderful fans out there for once again tuning into another great interview right here on the Cyber Den, your weekly dose of tech and games. So thank you very much for coming on board, Mr. Sayer. Perhaps you'd like to say one final farewell to the fans?
Dementia! Stop! Well, fans, that...
Flug!
Yes, sir! Sir! Oh my!
You're coming with me!
I have to go! It feels good! It hurts!
Keep listening to Jake the Voice on the Cyber